Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another fantastic episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. I'm your host, Bernadette. Joining me today is Jean. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Bernadette?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, should we tell people how we sort of virtually meet?
Yeah, absolutely. I am a psychic and a medium and a spiritual advisor on YouTube, Instagram, and I also do psychic fairs in my neighborhood. I do, physical. Have a booth and people come and see me at my booth and I do readings there. And I also do reading the room where I have a group of maybe 40 people and I do readings live and talk about what I do.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it's my passion for sure. But most people find me on YouTube under SunPsychic Jean. That's my YouTube channel. And that's my website as well, and Facebook, and everything is under SunPsychic Jean.
yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I like that you keep it all in one name. It's easier to connect and find you on social media. Yeah. Yeah. So why don't you start by telling us more of what you do and how long you've been doing it for?
hmm Um, right now, being a psychic medium and spiritual advisor, teacher, I've been doing this for about maybe 5 years, this, online and live. But before that, for the past 25 years, I've studied. First, I began with feng shui, and that's the energy in your home and the flow of energy. And I've always been very sensitive and able to pick up like little irregularities or feelings and things like this. And then I moved into Reiki, and that's also working with energy, and it's the healing energy and allowing that to flow through you. And then I did crystal healing, which I learned through my Reiki. And I also learned that when I did shamanic energy healing. And you see there's a theme throughout all of this is energy. And I've always been fascinated and wanted to sort of master the ability to allow energy to flow through me to so that I can facilitate healing for people and also connect to the spiritual realm. Now, with Reiki, we connect to the spiritual realm. With shamanic energy healing, we connect to the spiritual realm. So that naturally, when I got into the psychic classes and mediumship classes, it became second nature to me. And it was only through the suggestions of the teachers at the class that gave me specific exercises to practice with that I was able to just take off. Um, but it was, I would say, my abilities have been in the works for the last 25 years.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Did they start when you were young as well, or because I know for most people it depends on their awareness and how open-minded they are to accepting and also learning about the other side, if you may, and also energy. When did it start for you?
Mhm. I would say probably when I was a teenager, and it was just my sensitivity and, being an empath, so to speak, and being affected by somebody's anger or somebody's outbursts or somebody's loud talking or whatever. It's just really very sensitive. And so that this is sort of where, and I wasn't born with the gift of sight or with the gift of seeing or knowing about the spiritual realm. It was something that I needed to, that was taught, it was learned for me and practiced. But all of us have these psychic abilities. And it's just like if somebody were to sing or somebody were to play the piano, some of us are going to be better at it than others. And it takes a lot of practice in order to get good at it. Some people are a natural born psychic and you see them on TV That is not me. I was not a natural born psychic. But even the natural born psychics needed to learn how to work with the information that they were getting, when to turn it on, when to turn it off, and how to sort of manage that throughout their life. Um, but yeah, I think that all of humanity has a spiritual aspect to themselves that they're able to access. And this is what we call our instincts, our intuition, or, psychic.
Yeah, yeah, thank you for sharing. What is the difference between a psychic and a medium? And I know there are other people who call themselves psychic medium. I always get confused between the two because there are different ways of working under that title.
Well, in my description, the way I would describe the difference is a psychic would be somebody who is stays in this realm. Like I can see or sense you, your family, your job, your health, your relationships, your, home moving, your feelings, yourself. So that would be in this realm, psychic. And then mediumship would, in my estimation, would be anything that you would go to the spiritual realm. So even if I'm connecting to spirit guides and angels, that's a mediumship to me. Some people may just call that psychic, but for me, it is a mediumship. It's bringing in information from a spiritual realm, from a higher vibration, uh, and relaying messages through that. And similarly, spirit guides and angels they're right here and ready to communicate with us at any time. Now, loved ones who have passed over, that's a little bit more of a specialty, a little bit more of a nuance, of a finesse, because they are each their own character, they're each their own personality. And some of them don't want to talk and they just stand there like this with their arms folded, like, I don't want to talk to you. And some of them are just really quiet, like this grandfather that sits in the chair and he's like, no, no, I don't want any more coffee. No, no, it's okay. And he will be like, just smiling at me and I can't get him to talk. Or somebody
Yeah.
who was very, uh, a director and very flamboyant, very outgoing, and this person will not stop talking. And I had this grandmother once tell me about a recipe. She was telling, and I'm like, I just wanted to get a message, and she's like, no, no, the recipe, the recipe.
Yeah.
And so there is it's different, it's specific, and to pick up on the personalities of somebody on the other side takes a little bit more training and practice.
Mhm.
But the way that I connect to you and your personality and give you a reading is the same place that I connect to your loved ones and connect to them and relay that information to you. And not only that, but I point here because that's sort of where I go to connect. But it's also your loved ones are with you. So I need to connect to your energy and I need to ask your loved ones to speak to me so I can give the message to you. But they're not here with me, they're with you.
Mm. Oh, wow. I love how you describe it. It makes so much sense. Um, so when someone passes away, do they keep the personalities that they have? Because I know for me, my adoptive mom, very stubborn and loving, and I didn't get to know her too well, but same with my dad. Their energy feels very similar as if from the time that they were here, if that makes sense.
I do. I do believe that certain aspects of their personality remain the same, and it's so that you would understand and recognize them. However, if there was a conflict or you know, a separation of, like, if you had a parent who, left you and never took care of you and never came back or whatever, and you wanted to speak to them, they wouldn't be that same, that's their ego. that did that. You know, it's their soul aspect of themselves. So there's certain aspects that are ego driven, which are human constructs or human conditions or human decisions.
Mhm.
And then there's that soul aspect, the spirit of the person, their person, you know, and it's not easy to describe, but I think that you'll know what I mean.
Mhm.
So if somebody didn't get along with a family member on the other side, they would be able to reunite with that family member and to heal that relationship.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, 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 that makes sense. Also, I know that they come through dreams. I've had many visitations, and it's hard to put it into words. It's a soul recognition. It's not the
Uh,
human self. It's just, oh, this is who visited me. How do I know? I just know. I don't know how to describe it, explain it. I just know. Have you had some of those kind of encounters, either from your for yourself, also clients who tells you their journey of connecting with loved ones that way?
Yes, absolutely. I get a lot of my clients share with me that they've had a visitation, and it's the one where you know, and it feels different, and you it feels like they were really there, and it's a dream that you can't forget. Not that you can't, but it's, you know, it's an instant recall. You'll always remember what that looked like or felt like. It's not like a dream that fades away. Um,
Mm.
I personally don't dream as often, surprisingly. And I've had dreams, I've had vivid dreams, but it's not a regular occurrence. I have coworkers or other psychics that I work with who have vivid dreams like weekly, daily, you know, all the, and I'm like, you do? Like, that would be exhausting.
Yeah.
But yeah. Hmm.
Oh wow, that's really cool. I haven't dreamed in a long time. My dreams are vivid, they're clear, and it's a knowing.
Hmm.
Speaking of dreams, why do you know why we dream when it comes to the work that you do on a spiritual aspect?
I think it's just a way for I don't know. I'm not a dream expert, but if I had to guess, it would be a way for us to express the emotions that we don't feel safe or have the ability to express here in our awakened state, in our conscious state. So subconsciously we would express, you know, maybe, you know, struggling or flying or, you know, or being in a bed of flowers or whatever it is, but it's sort of a way to express and to just express our emotions
Yeah,
and
yeah,
our,
it
you
is.
know, our deepest desires are, you know, whatever it is. But it could also be, and I do know this for sure, that we do leave our bodies when we sleep. When the body goes to sleep, our consciousness is still awake, and our consciousness goes elsewhere to a different realm in order to learn information, share information, rest, visit loved ones. There's a different realm where our consciousness goes that we don't always remember. However, sometimes when we are coming back into the consciousness is coming back and our body is waking up, sometimes we get glimpses and memories of where we've been and who we've seen.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, last night I know I was somewhere else and I'm trying to remember. It's so frustrating, but I can't remember. I knew it
Mhm,
was real, it was somewhere else. I just can't remember it. And
mhm.
it's frustrating when that happens. Would you recommend people record their dreams or experiences so they can further
Absolutely.
develop their gifts? Is that something you did
Absolutely.
or continue to do?
I don't, because my dreams are far and few between and they're not as impactful. I
Mm.
don't write down my dreams, but people who do dream, if you would record it, and it's like if you were to dream that you were in a covered wagon and you were, you know, driving through some plains and some hills and you went over a a bridge and the wagon fell off and you fell over the bridge, you know, it's not necessarily anything to do with anything except for how you were feeling, you know. And all of that other detail was sort of manufactured or created in order for you to feel a certain feeling. And So if you were worried about how you were dressed on that wagon to make sure that you were warm enough, it would be associated with you worrying about how you're dressed in your wakened state. So it's almost like the emotion that you're feeling during the dream is really what is telling. The details are only there to support this story.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Would you categorize past life visions into dreams? Because I've had so many past life visions, either me as a male or female, and most of them are of me dying, to be honest. I have no idea why. And it feels so real. Like I come back
Mhm.
feeling all the emotions that I saw and experienced there. Do you get
Mhm.
past life visions?
I have I have uh I did a past life regression. They don't come to me without me preparing myself, getting into a meditative state and calling them. But I have seen them in the meditation or a regression. And each and every day, whatever is surrounding us, like if you have, I have French provincial dining room furniture, but I am not, that's not me or my style. So I know at some point in time, I had a lifetime or several lifetimes in France because it's a natural thing that I am attracted to or that I I feel, it comforts me in some way. So there's clues and tendencies and there's, styles and things like this that are telling. Um, and I do know that I feel, you feel a certain way. I feel a strong affinity to like the indigenous peoples all over the world, and that I definitely was here at that time as well. And that's what I feel. I feel a very strong connection. But my memories, it just doesn't come back to me in that way. But it's different for everybody. So your memories of your past lives come to you um, when they're not, when you don't call on them, but it's maybe something that you need in order to move forward in this lifetime. I
Mhm.
do know that my spirit guides have told me that we all have this a soul's vibration in this incarnation. So this incarnation that we're all in right now, our soul is open and available. Our soul's history, all of the resources from all of the lifetimes previous to this are available to us in this lifetime because of the changes that are going on the earth and in humanity. So we need the resources from each and every lifetime that we've lived. So this may be an explanation as to why you're remembering some of your past lifetimes, and it is your soul expressing or sharing the
Mhm.
information from that past life in order to assist us in this life in some way.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I've read the book Many Lives, Many Masters. I
Hmm.
had to read it because I keep getting visions after visions, and it's an incredible book. By the
Hmm.
time it was done, I'm like, is there a second book that's very similar to it that I can listen to? That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Hmm.
Can you share with us what are some of the most profound messages you receive from spirit?
Oh, there's so many. Well, one of them, the first one of them that I remember is there was a woman who asked to get a message from her father. And she said, "My father passed away 30 years ago. Is it possible that you could please reach my father? I haven't seen him in 30 years."
Mm,
And so I was like, "Oh, this is going to be tough." So I closed my eyes and whatever her father's name was, Robert or something. And I said, "Robert, your daughter is here, would like to connect with you." And I call them in. And when I call them in, they're in a not a ball, but in a stadium seating. The seats where you have to push down the seat before you sit down.
yeah.
And they're all in that stadium seating. And when I call on them, they stand up and they sort of wiggle their way out to the aisle and then they come down. And this is my mechanism. It's like my practice, my technique in order to have that specific loved one come forward. And
Mm,
he told me, he said, the day I passed, my soul was right here and my daughter's soul was right here. He said, I was right by her side. I never left her. He said, and now, 30 years later, he said, my soul is still right here, waiting for her, right beside her. I've never left her. Always watched over her. Haven't missed a moment in her lifetime. I'm always there right beside her whenever she needs to. He said, time does not equal distance. So here in this world, if we haven't seen somebody in 30 years, they seem so far away because this is the time that we have in this realm. But on the other side, time does not equal distance. Everything is now. And they also tell me that when they cross over and 30 years later I cross over, they said it's just like that. It's like there's no waiting. It's like they're there and the next moment I'm there. And there's no time. Everything is instant. So and there and I never I it blew my mind that he said time does not equal distance. And it helped me because a lot of people say it's been 30 years, and it was just really very profound. It was something that I hadn't heard before. Let me see who the another one is. Um, this is a story I told recently, but there was um, a woman who wanted to um, we were doing a reading for her and she wanted to know like about her job and about relationships and about health, and she was asking about the usual things. And then we had some time at the end and she said, can I get a reading about my past life? And I said, well, there's not enough time left right now. I said, but I can just take a peek and see what I see. And I looked back and I saw her back in the Old West, where it was like the gold rush days, and she was a deputy in an old town, and she wasn't the sheriff, but she was the deputy, and the whole town loved her because they felt safe and she was a male at that in that lifetime. When he was deputy, the whole town felt very safe, and so this deputy had a horse, and this horse was like a cinnamon color horse, and it had like a blonde stripe down the nose, and it had a blonde patch on its chest. And this deputy would have to go from town to town to town, and he traveled with this horse and really relied and you know relied his own life on this horse. The horse, he he helped to keep the horse alive and fed, and loyalty to the horse, and the horse did the same for him. The horse was his protection, his best friend, and being very loyal to his owner as well. So as I was saying this, and she said, Jean, look. And she had her phone. She was on the call with the phone, and she turned the phone around and she showed me that she had a dog that was laying on her bed. And this dog was a cinnamon colored dog. And the dog had a blonde stripe down its nose and a little blonde patch on his chest. And she said, I knew it. I knew that this dog was more than just a dog. I feel so connected. I so attached to this dog. Like this dog can understand my thoughts, like there's just this bond. She said, I've had dogs before, but this dog is so special. And here it was. And we didn't even think about including the dog in the horse in a past life. And I was just so blown away. It was really remarkable. And I had expanded, and I feel when I experience these profound realizations, I can feel myself expand, and I know that I'll never be the same again. I see things in a whole new light, and the dimension or the richness in life really does just expand that much more, and it's just beautiful.
Wow, that's so incredible. Thank you for sharing. Would you say that all of us have guides, and why are they guiding and helping us from where we are right now?
All of us do have guides. Um, but they're our soul's guide. They are a loyal companion to our soul, and they agreed to be our companion when we incarnated here in on this planet. And we have had lifetimes together before, and they know us and love us and are loyal to us through different lifetimes. And this guide is with us from the moment that we're born. And this guides in angels, and this guide is always helping us along our spiritual journey. And they are, nudging, they're whispering, they're, if they can, create, like surprises, whatever they can do for us to help us on our journey in order to direct us in the direction that we're meant to go in. Um, and these guides are, they're not they're very helpful for us, and we can utilize them, but they can't live our life for us. They can only guide us. They can only advise us. They can help us, they can keep us safe, but they can't live our life for us. So you'll feel a nudge, a nudge, a nudge, and then you'll make a decision. You'll be like, okay, I'm gonna, whatever, take this class. And then you're like, where did the nudge go? I don't feel the nudges anymore. Where did my spirit guides go? I don't
Yeah.
feel that help or that insistence, that little um that feeling of them being there. It's because we took the guidance, and it's up to us to create from that moment forward, to make the decisions, to play it out. And so a lot of people say, I haven't heard from my guides in a while. It's because it's your turn to make the decisions.
Yeah.
You have free will. It's up to you. And it's not always what people want to hear. And people want our guides to tell us step by step what to do. And they're not there for that. And if we start relying on them like that, they will stop nudging us until, we start making decisions on our own. And then they'll be like, oh, this way, little nudges, little direction, little guidance. They also leave us signs and synchronicities and reassure us that we're not here alone, and try and remind us of who we truly are, which is a soul in a human, having a human existence.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, because I know there's signs, sometimes they can be so subtle. The spirit world it's quiet, more quiet than even our own thoughts when we're not doing anything. What are some ways that we can carefully listen and pick up those little nudges that they're sending us?
Mhm. Well, first would be the meditation, and second would be calling them in. Third would be practicing and working on building our own energy centers and doing chakra balancing and auric field cleansing and balancing and strengthening, and getting to know our own subtle energies, and practicing in this way. And it's almost like building the energy. And then when we build the energy, we sort of have like these feelers out there, and we can sense things a little bit better because we're in our full frequency. Whereas through life, we sort of are doled down and told not to pay attention to that, and told, that doesn't make any sense, or don't pay any attention to that. And we're taught to ignore these things. But if we can work on connecting to our own soul, our own divine spark, and build our own energy centers within this human existence, this human body, and to the energetic frequency that is in this human body and our auric field is our soul's energy. So the more that we can connect to this, the easier we can connect to other energies in that same way.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I've heard people saying being in the body, it's like putting something really like a couch in a water bottle. I feel
That's
that way
cute.
sometimes because it's so restricting being in a body. How
Hmm.
can people find comfort knowing that they're here for a mission and a purpose and accepting that there will be challenges and it's not going to feel good all the time?
I think practicing the awareness,
Mhm.
it really does give you a higher perspective. And it's almost like, oh, I have never thought of it that way. Like if you have a boss that is, really bossy and you are a people pleaser
Mm.
and you're like, oh, this boss is always so bossy and I can't, and they say, I'm going to change jobs. And you go to another job and your boss at the other job is really bossy and you're a people pleaser and you're like, oh, I just can't take this anymore. I
Mhm.
can't take this anymore. But in reality, before we came into this incarnation, these two souls are in our soul family, and we agreed to play these parts so that both of our souls can learn compassion, can learn patience, can learn strength, empowerment to stand up for ourselves, to love ourselves, all of these lessons so our soul can expand, our soul can learn, so that when we go to the other side and we plan to reincarnate again, our souls have grown. There's a catalyst here in this world that allows us to push up against, because if we never had a catalyst, we would just all be in our comfort zones and sort of all be watching TV and all eating pop, like whatever the comfort is for you. We would
Yeah.
just be doing that our whole lives. We would never be pushed into doing something that is, enriching and helping us to grow spiritually. And that's the goal. So having that understanding of where we came from and why we decided to come into this world and what challenges really are, and just having that perspective, that understanding, or even consider that that could be possibly, it helps us to understand and to deal with what is
Yeah.
presented to us in this lifetime.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Have you worked with people when it comes to star seeds, if you've heard of that term? What are your thoughts on it?
I think that most of us are star seeds. I think that a lot of us have had lifetimes in a different planet or a different race, galactic race. However, I think at this point in time in this world, as this change in frequency, Gaia or Mother Earth is transforming from one frequency and vibration to a new frequency and vibration. Humanity, as we are Gaia, we are the Mother Earth. We are one. We cannot, our bodies are, carbon based. We cannot exist without Gaia. And so as Gaia changes her frequency and vibration, so too does humanity. Humanity is going through this evolution. And as we're going through this evolution, tell me the question again. I've lost it.
Oh, star seeds.
Okay. Yeah. So because of all of this happening in this at this time, they needed a lot of light, a lot of connection, a lot of awareness, a lot of expertise, and maybe souls that have gone through that type of a evolution before. So we were called to come here at this time to assist humanity and Gaia to, go through this evolution. So there's many more of us here now than before, but many of us have had lifetimes in other planetary locations or galaxies or universes. Um, and I do think I don't I it it's this awareness. It's the awareness. It's helping others to go through it. It's a good question though. Like where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I also think there's more than just humanity here. I think that there's different,
Hmm.
beings or off-planet beings located on the planet at this time in order to assist.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, for me, before I was awakened, I've always been drawn to sci-fi alien
Hmm.
movies and just different anything that would take me out of this world. That's what I'm still interested in. I wonder if that was my soul kind of nudging me to realize, hey, there's more than this. You've been other places than there. Yeah, it's fascinating. I love it. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's very,
And
very fascinating.
it's really important to know because a lot of people say, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go back home and I don't like it here and I'm not comfortable here. But it's really important to know that if we have been incarnated here as star seeds, it's really
Mhm,
important that we ground our energy with Gaia, with other humans. It's really important for us to keep this energy, the starseed energy, in this human container because we are here to change the frequency and vibration of Earth, of the humanity. And as we do this for ourselves, it ripples out, and other people allow themselves to do the same. And it's
mhm.
really important to stay in the body and stay grounded.
Yeah, I was just talking about grounding to someone else. Um, yeah, because sometimes I feel that I'm here, but I'm not here. It's kind of detached, disconnected from my body and mind. It's the weirdest feeling. I still have it now. I just kind of push through life and keep going.
Mhm.
It's
And
weird.
a lot of us can do some chakra balancing with that. And, a lot of us who are a psychic would, the top three chakras would be activated and the bottom three would be more ignored or more, you know, uh, not fired as much. But
Mhm,
it's really best, as long as we're here in this human container, to be balanced. And there's many reasons, because the more that we ground, the more that we can connect. It's if we're
mhm,
just relying on just these top three chakras, we're not as strong, or our abilities won't go as far as if we ground with Gaia, with our lower chakras and with all of our energy centers, and then, experience what we need to experience.
mhm,
And a lot of people sort of, you know, and it's easy to do. It's easy just to be, meditating all the time or connecting with, you know,
mhm.
off-planet beings all the time. But it's really important for us to live this life here as the human that we are today. And there's a lot of, really important reasons for that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I love learning about the chakras. I know that the body has so many of them. I'm wondering why we are reminded to work on the seven. Because I know there's so many chakras and portals throughout our
And
bodies. What are
yeah,
your
like
thoughts?
yeah, there's like 112. I think that, even humans can't even get used to the seven. And
Mm,
it's just because of our awareness, our ability, or our egos not wanting to know the spiritual side of us, our egos only wanting the human aspect or the physical and 3D aspect. And it's like a tug of war. I think that naturally, when the indigenous people were here, they were more in touch with all of their energy centers and their connection to the skies or the stars and the spiritual realm. And that came naturally. And then somehow along the way, it was taught out of us, or taught,
mhm.
when you're in school and you're looking up for the answer, and they're like, the answer's not on the ceiling. Look at your book. What
Yeah.
they should have let us. They should have let us look, but they didn't know. They just thought that we were not paying attention. So, but now we know better and now we're doing better. So,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I have to ask you this question. Um, what are your thoughts on mental health and the spiritual world? Because I was born open. I've been seeing stuff for a very long time. And later in life I got diagnosed with schizophrenia. Somehow, some way, I don't know, I can't explain it. I know what's real and what's not. I don't hallucinate anymore, but I just know when I'm connecting to loved ones or different planets, astral projection, I just know. What are your thoughts on that?
well, I think it's individual. I think the human body does have flaws, and I think the human brain does have illnesses or disruptions or, conditions that do not allow it to function properly. However, I also know that a lot of times that if we have a emotional type of difficulty, a lot of it is because we're not reaching out to our spiritual side or opening up to our spiritual side, or that we've been told we're not allowed to, or it's been kept from us, or that we've been, restricted from this in some
Mhm.
way. So sometimes, human behavior and the conditioning with growing up in our lives to this point may create some sort of imbalance emotionally and a struggle.
Mhm.
And it is if you have been talking to your off-planet beings or your guides or your loved ones your whole life, and somebody said, well, you shouldn't be talking to anybody, there's nobody there, that's unfortunate. So it would be specific to each and every person, because I do feel as though there are some people, unfortunately, that have the challenge of of an illness or an altered I don't know. Their brains or their minds are altered in some way that they are finding it difficult to function in this, human container.
Mhm.
But does that answer your
Oh
question?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I've just heard so many different amazing things because I was watching something about autistic kids and just how open they are to the spiritual world and
Well, they're
how they can,
telepathic.
yeah,
Hmm.
how they can bridge and connect to levels that we cannot understand. That's why at times they're just happy.
Hmm.
They're just
Hmm.
happy to be here and connect. Yeah, yeah, it does answer my question. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. What an amazing conversation. Is there anything that you'd like to share with my audience? Anything I didn't get to ask you?
I would say that if you have any tendencies, or you feel as though you may want to learn more about, the spiritual side of practice, um, it is much more accepted, and it is the wave of the future. It is not just a coincidence that all of the sudden all of this incandescent or hidden or, unspoken practices are now out in the open. It is the way that we're going to be moving in the future. And
Mhm.
telepathy is going to be part of humanity, and connecting, working in balance with our spiritual guides and our ego side. We'll be walking more in balance and being guided in a more day to day and more of a accessible way. And this is the way humanity is moving, so that we're moving away from being controlled, manipulated, and because we need to connect to our own spirit guides and our own higher self and our own divine spark or our own soul in order to progress with humanity. So this is going to be the wave of the future. And even if you want to just learn healing, some Reiki healing is a really wonderful way to begin to learn what energy is, what connecting with the spiritual realm is, and how we can heal ourselves. It really, it's important to move forward. If you have the desire, if you have the interest, I would start taking a class, or learning more about it. Follow that intuition, and it's important to act on that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Thank you for sharing. So what are you working on? And I know you're on YouTube quite a bit. Tell us where can people find you and connect with you?
So, my YouTube, I'm on, do live readings, I do live discussions and philosophical or spiritual discussions. And it on YouTube is SunPsychic Jean. And I also do private readings, and you can book a private reading through my website, which is sunpsychicjean.com. And I also am on Instagram and Facebook as well,
Mhm.
for now anyway. And yeah, I also have a class, and I hesitate to say class. I call it a study practice group. and it's a psychic study. So what I do, so that I tried to build a psychic class, and I couldn't get a psychic class in a 2 hour time frame. I just couldn't.
Mhm.
There's too much.
Yeah.
So what I do is when we come in, we do a meditation together. I describe a practice or a exercise that we do together. We learn how to do the exercise, and then I send them into breakout rooms, and they practice the exercise that we just learned on each other. And then the next day you come in, we try another exercise, and then we practice again. So every time you go into practice, you can practice any of the techniques that you're being taught. It's every Sunday. It's 5 p.m. Eastern and 2 p.m. Pacific, and every Tuesday, which is 3:30 Eastern and 12:30 Pacific. And it is for the entire month, and it's $20 because it's a psychic study practice group. And if you would like to sign up for the psychic study practice group, you can contact me on my website under the contact page, and just put study practice group in there and whatever month it is. So I'm getting ready to start the month of March, the study practice group for the month of March. And everybody from the February month is coming over. And so that when we build, we'll have more people to interact with and do readings when we do the breakout rooms. So hopefully it'll be built into a big, study practice. It's not every single Sunday or every single Tuesday, and if you don't make one, that's fine. Not, everybody's schedule is changes all the time. I know I have things coming up where I can't make each of the days, but it's most of the days.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I love that you make it affordable because everyone can get the chance to, excuse me, practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I learned. I was taught techniques, and I understood it and I was able to do it, but I didn't really understand it or know it until I was practicing, practicing, practicing. And
Mhm.
it really, that validation and that confidence is really key in order to, you know, develop your skills.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much. I'm losing my voice. Let's try again. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Jean. I appreciate you being here. And I've learned so much just talking to you, your experience and your work. I look forward to collaborating and working together.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for the invitation, Bernadette. It was a wonderful discussion. Thank you.
You're welcome.